Howdy. Today we are talking about Strike Them Hard, the Baker Massacre play written by Ramona Bighead. We're just talking about scenes number 1 and 2 here. So after you've read scenes 1 and 2, some things for discussion that I brought up in class. That's what this video is for. So what we got. Heavy Runner is the leader of his camp of Blackfoot. So under the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Blackfoot Nation, there are multiple nations, so much as a comparison, the easiest comparison would be like we are the United States of America, we are one country, but within that we are multiple states with multiple groups that have their own control and power. Underneath that, there are multiple towns with their own power sources, so like our local town of Helena has a city council, and then you have the Montana state government, and you have the United States federal government. Very similar was the Blackfoot Nation. So you had the Blackfoot Nation, and then you had individual groups under that. So these, I think we're talking about the Piikani, and then he is Heavy Runner is the leader of one particular camp of Piikani, and so he is the chief of that camp. So it'd be like a mayor of the town. And in scene 1, his brother had been murdered a couple months prior. His name was Bearhead. In this particular, also going on is his nephew, Heavy Runner's nephew, First Rider, is getting renamed. He gets renamed for his father's name. So First Runner, by the end of this, becomes Bearhead. So he takes his father's name. First Rider says that he's going to go ahead and revenge his father's death by killing Owlchild, who is the man who killed his father. One of the lines really to focus in on page 76 is definitely for us is Heavy Runner says about Owlchild, he has no honor among our people. For the Blackfeet and many different tribes, especially back then, but it is still true today, honor was everything. If you were dishonored, you had nothing. I mean, to be removed from his family, his camp, his entire tribe, he then becomes a loner, completely out in the land by himself. If he tried to go join another tribe, they would be like, well, why are you here? And it'd be very suspicious. And also they would eventually talk to the other people in the other tribes and find out exactly what happened, and they wouldn't let him in. So to be dishonored in this way is the worst punishment possible. And yeah, anyways, it's a big deal. And to gain honor, the opposite, is also a big deal, and that's what everybody is looking for, and to increase your social standing. So for example, they're on a war party when he was only 8 winters old, and you came home with your first rifle, so taking an enemy's weapon is very honorable. Also counting coup on another in a war party is also very honorable. We won't get into counting coup at this moment, but so anyways, those are the things to take note in scene 1. Scene 2, totally different. Grant and Sheridan meet. As you find out, these two particular people are not very favorable people. I believe the cronyism piece, that word comes up, cronyism, where they help each other. So Grant and Sheridan do things to help each other climb the ranks of society. It doesn't necessarily mean they're good things. It doesn't necessarily mean that they agree with each other, but they do it anyways because it's mutually beneficial. So I don't really think Grant totally believes in what Sheridan is saying in this scene, which, as you realize, is very racist. And his line, the only good, this is on page 80 at the very bottom, the only good Indian is a dead Indian, is a direct quotation from General Sheridan. It became very famous during his time period. It's still quoted today. Let me just back up. So he's in charge of Sheridan. He's in charge of everything in the West, army-wise. He's in charge of the protection of all the settlers. and kind of the ruler of the West, if you want to say. And so he also is, and so he is also saying that the only good Indian is dead Indian. So as you can imagine, he doesn't have a high view of them and isn't really going to protect them at all. So the other thing I want to point out is that the author of this, Ramona Bighead, when she created this, it is a dissertation thesis, and she wanted to create a play that many middle schoolers and maybe ninth graders can access and understand what's actually happening during the Baker Massacre. So what she did is a whole lot of research from that time frame. And as much as possible, the things that the characters say are direct quotations from what they actually said somewhere. Is it in this particular order? No, but it is at their own words. Yeah. So the things that Grant said are actually things that Grant said. The things that Sheridan said are actually things that Sheridan said. For the Blackfeet side of it, like the beginning, scene 1, not so much because they didn't have a written record. But the people are real in all of this. All right, that's it for scenes 1 and 2. We'll do another one tomorrow for the next scenes that we read.